every single day, millions of men and women around the world start their morning, not with coffee, but with something silent, something private, something everyone does, but no one talks about. Masturbation. It's been covered in shame, wrapped in embarrassment, cut off mid-sentence in casual conversation. But here's the truth. Masturbation is common, it's safe, it's free, and for many people, it's essential for both mental and physical health. I'm Dr. Rena Malik. I'm a urologist and pelvic surgeon, and today we're going to talk about one of the most misunderstood behaviors in the human experience through science, through stories, and without judgment. This is not a how-to video. It's a why video. Why we do it, who does it, when it becomes healthy, and when it becomes harmful. Let's start with the data. Back in 2010, researchers from the National Survey of Sexual Health and Behavior asked more than 1,500 Americans about their sex lives. The age range, 14 to 94. And what they found was clear: men of all ages masturbate. Lifelong rates ranged from 67 to 94%. When asked if they had masturbated in the past 30 days, the numbers dropped slightly, 43 to 69%. And surprisingly, solo masturbation, not with a partner, was most common in two age groups: teenagers aged 14 to 15 and adults over 50. Among men over 70, the rate was still 28%. Yes, even in their 70s, masturbation doesn't disappear with age. It simply changes shape. If you guessed women masturbate less, you'd be right, but that's not the full story. In the same study, lifelong rates for women ranged from 43 to 85%. Within the past month, only 21 to 50% admitted to it. For women over 70, that number dropped to just 11%. But ask yourself this: is that because women have less desire, or because society has never given them permission to be honest about it? Because in most cultures, female sexuality is still seen as taboo, and self-pleasure, especially for women, is rarely framed as normal. That silence, it's not biological, it's cultural. Whether you're a man or a woman, whether you're 18 or 80, masturbation is happening privately, regularly, and mostly silently. So the real question is, what happens when we stop treating it like a secret? Here's something you probably didn't expect to hear. People today are masturbating less than they used to. Yes, even in a world where sex is everywhere, on your phone, on your feed, on every scroll and swipe. So why is it happening? Let's look at the numbers. Back in 2009, about 56% of teenagers aged 14 to 17 reported masturbating regularly, but by 2018, that number dropped to just 40%. And this isn't just about kids. Adults are changing too. Between 2009 and 2018, masturbation rates among people aged 18 to 49 stayed about the same, but the trend line shows something subtle: a steady cultural shift. One word: distraction. Today, we don't sit in silence anymore. We don't daydream. We don't get bored. We fill every second with stimulation: TikTok, Instagram, gaming, podcasts, videos, endless noise, but no time with ourselves. Back in the day, boredom used to lead to curiosity, and curiosity often led to self-exploration. Now, boredom leads to Wi-Fi. It's not that our bodies have stopped feeling desire, it's that our minds are being hijacked before desire has a chance to speak, and that has consequences for older generations. The picture gets even more interesting. In more conservative countries, especially in Southern Europe or parts of Asia, older men reported far less masturbation than their counterparts in liberal countries like Norway, Sweden, or the Netherlands. Why? Because mindset matters. Studies show that older adults with better sex education higher levels of formal schooling, and more open cultural beliefs were far more likely to keep masturbating well into their 60s, 70s, and even 80s. Those who believed that sexuality dies with age, they simply stopped not because the body couldn't, but because the mind gave up first. The data is clear. The more freedom, education, and self acceptance you have, the more likely you are to continue honoring your sexual needs, even as life changes. Your desire doesn't retire, your touch doesn't expire, but your beliefs, they can shut it all down. Here's something most couples never talk about. Your partner might be masturbating, and it has nothing to do with how much they love you. In fact, according to studies, people in relationships are more likely to masturbate than people who are single. Let that sink in. Masturbation isn't just a lonely act. For many, it's a private way to stay connected to their own pleasure, to regulate stress, to feel alive on their own terms. When researchers looked closer, they found something powerful. Women are more likely to masturbate when they're happy in their sex lives. They use it as a bonus, a celebration, an extension of their sexual self, but men are more likely to do it when they're not satisfied, when they're disconnected, when they feel unfulfilled in a relationship or outside of one. Now pause for a second. That doesn't mean if your partner masturbates, it's because they're unhappy. It just means that the behavior often mirrors emotional needs. Sometimes it's joy, sometimes it's frustration, sometimes it's routine, and sometimes it's just about self-care. If someone you love is masturbating, it doesn't mean they've chosen it over you. It doesn't mean they've replaced you in most cases. It's not a sign of distance. It's a sign of autonomy, just like going for a run, taking a long shower, listening to music alone. It's something done for personal restoration. But if it starts replacing real connection, if someone would rather self-pleasure than spend time together, that's when you pause and ask questions, not from a place of blame, but from curiosity, from care. Because the problem isn't masturbation, it's disconnection. Your partner's body is theirs. Your body is yours. And masturbation, done in balance, is not betrayal. It's not failure. It's not weakness. It's a tool for relief, for exploration, for recovery. Like any tool, it becomes dangerous only when used to avoid truth. Let's be honest. Masturbation is real. It's everywhere. But try bringing it up at dinner, in school, at work, even in your own home. The room goes quiet. Faces shift. Someone laughs. Nervously, not because it's wrong, but because we were taught to be ashamed of our biology. According to a global survey by Tenga in 2018, only 11 to 18% of adults worldwide believed masturbation was an important topic to talk about. Less than 1 in 5. Now think about this. That same survey also revealed that 30% of people lie about masturbating. They hide it, denude it, downplay it. And the reason: shame, cultural fear, religious guilt, social judgment. But here's the contradiction. When asked whether masturbation is good or bad, and the majority of people in most countries said it's good, even beneficial, yet still, they keep it hidden. Why? Because knowing something is normal doesn't always make it feel normal. In India, where Dr. Rena Malik's roots are from, more people believe masturbation is harmful than in most Western countries. Around 14% of respondents in that survey labeled it as bad for your health or your morality. But beliefs like these, they don't come from the body. They come from messages, from upbringing, from silence passed down. Like inheritance, silence becomes stigma, and stigma becomes fear, even when science says otherwise. Medical experts, from urologists to sex therapists, agree on one thing: masturbation, in moderation, is not just safe, it's healthy. It helps regulate sleep, stabilize mood, Relieve stress. Improve awareness of your own body. It carries zero risk of pregnancy and no risk of sexually transmitted infections unless you're sharing toys without cleaning them. Yet, even with all this evidence, we still treat it like a scandal. It's not the act, it's the shame around the act. When you feel ashamed of a natural behavior, you don't become a better person. You become more secretive, more anxious, more disconnected from your body. And worse, you stop asking questions. You stop learning. You stop healing. Let's be clear. Masturbation is not the enemy, but like anything done in excess, it can become a trap, not because it's evil, not because it's immoral, but because it can slowly replace something deeper without you noticing. So, how do you know if it's gone too far? Here's what the research and clinical experience tell us. If you're skipping work to masturbate, if you're isolating yourself from friends or family just to be alone with a screen, if you're choosing self-pleasure over intimacy with your partner, again and again, that's not sexual freedom. That's avoidance. It's not about desire anymore. It's about control, comfort, escape. And like any escape, it can steal your time, in your focus, your energy, until you're no longer choosing it and you're just needing it. Studies in neuroscience have shown that compulsive masturbation can affect dopamine regulation just like other repetitive, reward seeking behaviors. What does that mean? It means your brain starts to crave the hit, even when you're not in the mood, even when you're not lonely, even when it's not enjoyable anymore. It becomes a reflex, a loop, a dependency, not for sex, but for relief from boredom, from stress, from emotional discomfort. So here's the line. Masturbation is healthy when it helps you relax, when it helps you explore your body, when it enhances your connection to your partner or to yourself. But it's a red flag when it starts replacing real life, when it disconnects you instead of grounding you, when it leaves you feeling emptier, not better. First, don't panic. Don't shame yourself. Don't call it an addiction just because you're doing it often. Instead, ask honest questions. Are you using it to feel alive or to avoid feeling at all? Are you still in control of it, or is it quietly controlling you? If the answer worries you, talk to someone, a doctor, a therapist, a trusted guide, because change doesn't begin with guilt. It begins with awareness. Let's bring it back to where we started. You were told this was a shameful topic. You were told to stay quiet, to hide, to pretend like it didn't exist. But here you are, still human, still curious, still carrying a body that feels, wants, and responds. Masturbation, in its essence, is not dangerous. It's not dirty. It's not deviant. It's a form of self-connection, a way to know what brings you comfort, relief, and joy. And when done with intention, not compulsion, it's as natural as breathing. So the real danger was never the act, it was the lack of honest conversation around it. When we don't talk about these things, we leave young people confused, we leave adults ashamed, we let misinformation shape our lives. We hand our biology over to fear, and we make people feel broken for doing something completely human. But it doesn't have to be that way. Because the more you understand your body, the more compassion you have for others, and the more power you reclaim from ignorance. Masturbation is not a sign of weakness. It's not a sign that something is missing, and it's not something you have to stop unless it's stopping you. If it adds joy, keep it. If it takes joy, question it. If it isolates you, address it. But if it grounds you, heals you, calms you, it's not wrong. There's zero risk of pregnancy, zero risk of STIs, unless you're sharing toys. And if you are, clean them properly, sterilize them before using with someone else. This is about ownership, responsibility, respect for your own body and the bodies of others. So take care of yourself. Ask questions. Drop the shame. because you are worth understanding, and your pleasure is not something to fear, it's something to learn from. I'm Dr. Rena Malik, and I'll see you in the next video. Until then,